The stars looked different now. Admiral William Carter stood motionless before the wide viewport of the Eternal Vigil, watching the unfamiliar patterns of light. 5,000 years had changed even the positions of the stars. "How many of us survived the awakening?" he asked, his voice rough from centuries of disuse. The alien scientist standing beside him shifted nervously. Her blue-scaled skin caught the light as she consulted her datapad. All 23 crew members aboard this vessel were successfully revived, Zivarik said. Your body has responded remarkably well to the revival protocol. Carter nodded. He was alive when he should be dust. The stasis technology had been experimental when they deployed it. No one had been certain it would work for even a century, let alone 5 millennia. You should not exist, Zivarik continued, her 4 eyes blinking in sequence. Your species is considered mythological by most of the galactic conquered. The humans who nearly broke the galaxy, then vanished. Carter turned to face her properly. He was tall for a human, but the alien stood a full head taller. We didn't vanish, we hid. There's a difference. The Eternal Vigil hummed around them as more systems came online. The ship was awakening just as its crew had, shaking off the long sleep. Lights brightened in corridors that had been dark for thousands of years. I've studied the fragments of your history, Zivarik said. The war with the Zoraxians, the burning of Earth, but the records are incomplete. There were 17 billion humans before the war, Carter said, his face showing no emotion. 10 million went into stasis. Everyone else died. He walked away from the viewport toward the command center. His legs were stiff, but growing stronger with each step. The medical team had told him his body would take days to fully recover. He didn't have days. In the command center, 6 other humans worked at stations, their faces pale but determined. They had been his senior staff on that last terrible day when the dormancy protocol was activated. Now they were the first to wake. Status report, Carter ordered. Commander Patricia Finn looked up from her console. Her fingers moved surely across controls unchanged by time. The ship's systems are at 86% functionality. The stasis pods for the civilian population remain secure. We're picking up a distress signal from another ship. Source? It's Lieutenant Reeves, sir. Her ship has been compromised. She's under attack. Carter's expression darkened. Put it on screen. The main display flickered, showing a woman in a torn uniform. Her face was streaked with blood and weapons fire could be heard in the background. This is Lieutenant Olivia Reeves of the Slumber 5. We have been forcibly awakened by an unknown alien species. They're trying to break into the civilian pods. I've sealed the central chamber, but they're cutting through. I need immediate assistance. Zivarix moved closer to the screen. Those are Vren, a mining species, aggressive but technologically limited. Carter looked at her. Limited compared to what? To the conquered, to my people, and to humans 5,000 years ago. Zivarix hesitated. I cannot say. Your technology was largely lost, Commander Finn interrupted. Sir, the Slumber 5 is 7 light years from our position. Even at emergency speed, we won't reach her in time, Carter finished. Lieutenant Reeves, this is Admiral Carter. Execute Protocol Lazarus. The woman on screen looked shocked. Sir, that will wake everyone, the entire ship. That's the point, Lieutenant. Wake your soldiers, defend your civilians. Yes, sir. Reeves saluted, then the transmission cut out. Carter turned to his crew. Protocol Lazarus shipwide. Finn straightened in alarm. Admiral, we haven't completed systems checks. The civilians aren't ready for... The galaxy is waking us up on die. Ship at a time, Carter said. I'd rather it be on our terms. Execute the order. Throughout the massive ship, thousands of stasis pods began their revival sequences. In the military sector, 400 soldiers would wake within hours. In the civilian sector, nearly 6,000 people would begin the slower, gentler awakening process. Zivarix watched in growing concern. What are you doing, Admiral? What we have to. Carter moved to the central command station and placed his palm on the authentication panel. Computer authorization, Carter Alpha 79. Activate the beacon. A new signal began broadcasting from the eternal vigil, stretching across vast distances of space. Anywhere a human ship slept, hidden on remote moons, or drifting in the emptiness, between stars the signal would reach it, and they would wake. "You've doomed the Vren," Zivarik said quietly. Carter didn't look up from his work. "They doomed themselves when they attacked us. You don't understand. The galaxy has been at peace for centuries. The Conquered maintains balance between 17 species. If humans return now with their ancient weapons and warrior mentality..." "We didn't ask to be found," Carter said. "We left a warning." In the corridors below, the first soldiers emerged, from their pods disoriented but rapidly regaining their focus. Medical teams rushed between them, checking vital signs, providing nutrition supplements. 5,000 years of sleep ended in minutes. On the Slumber 5, Olivia Reeves armed her awakened troops. The ship had been designed as a civilian transport, with only a small military contingent for protection, but even a small group of human soldiers was a formidable force. "The Vren have breached Deck 3, her second-in-command reported. Reeves checked her weapon. "How many?" "At least 40, she nodded. "Wake Squad 3 and deploy to defensive positions. No one reaches the civilian pods." Across the ship, soldiers moved with cold efficiency. Their training, the last thing imprinted on their minds before stasis, was the first thing they remembered upon awakening. They had gone to sleep expecting war. They woke ready for it. The Vren, unfamiliar with humans, were unprepared for the violence that met them. They had expected to find valuable technology and unconscious aliens. Instead, they found an enemy unlike any in the current galaxy, creatures built for a level of conflict that had faded from memory. Back on the Eternal Vigil, Carter watched as more systems came online. The ship had been the command center of humanity's last fleet. It contained weapons that had been banned after the Xeraxian War, technological horrors born of desperation. "If the Concord discovers what you're doing," Zivarix warned, "they will see it as an act of war." Carter looked at the alien scientist, his eyes reflecting the light of awakening systems. "That's the thing about sleeping for 5,000 years, he said. "You wake up with a lot of catching up to do, starting with who's in charge now and whether they deserve to be." He turned back to the viewport. For 5,000 years, humanity slept. Now someone has awakened the beast. Let's hope the galaxy remembers how to run. Lieutenant Olivia Reeves ducked as another energy blast hit the wall above her head. 3 of her soldiers crouched nearby, their weapons ready. The Vren attackers had broken through to the inner corridors of the Slumber 5, but they were paying a heavy price for each step. "Squad 2 report," Reeves said into her comm unit. "We've secured the engine room," came the reply. 8 Vren casualties, no survivors. Reeves nodded. "Hold position. We need those engines." The Vren had not expected resistance. They were miners, not soldiers, though they carried weapons. They had found the human ship buried in an asteroid and thought it abandoned technology. What they discovered instead was that they had disturbed something ancient and dangerous. Sergeant Kyle Bennett signaled from across the corridor. "They're regrouping at Junction 6, at least 15 of them." Reeves checked her weapons charge. "How many have we lost?" 2 wounded, none dead." Bennett's expression was grim but satisfied. The ratio of casualties heavily favored the humans. "They're learning," Reeves said. "The first wave rushed in blindly. This group is more cautious." Bennett nodded. "They've called for reinforcements. I intercepted their communications. A larger ship is coming." Reeves processed this information quickly. Her team had awoken only hours ago. 30 soldiers against what might soon be hundreds of aliens. The civilian pods remained secure for now, but every minute brought new challenges. "Activate the ships. Defense systems," she ordered. "All of them." Bennett looked surprised. "Ma'am, some of those systems were experimental, never tested in combat." "Then we'll test them now," Reeves said. Authorization Reeves Delta 93. Throughout the ship, weapons that had been designed during humanity's darkest hours came online. Systems built not just to kill, but to terrify. Humanity had been fighting for survival when these weapons were created. Ethics had been a luxury they couldn't afford. On the bridge, Reeves watched her display as a much larger Vren vessel approached. It was bulky and industrial, clearly designed for mining operations but retrofitted with weapons. It dwarfed the Slumber 5 in size but not in firepower. "Target their engines," Reeves ordered. "Fire when ready." The Slumber 5's main cannon charged silently. When it fired, there was no beam of light, no explosion. Instead, a distortion rippled through space. Where it touched the Vren ship, matter simply came apart at the molecular level. The engine section of the alien vessel dissolved into its component atoms. The Vren ship, crippled, began to drift. Its communications array lit up with panicked transmissions. "They're sending out a distress call," Bennett reported. Reeves nodded. "Good. Let them call for help. Let the galaxy know we're awake." Aboard the Eternal Vigil, Admiral Carter watched as reports came in from other human ships. The Lazarus Protocol had awakened 7 vessels so far. Thousands of humans were coming back to consciousness, finding themselves in a galaxy that had forgotten them. "The Slumber 5 has engaged the Vren," Commander Finn reported. "Lieutenant Reeves has the situation under control." Carter nodded. "And the other ships?" "No contact yet with hostiles. They're securing their systems and awaiting orders." Zivarix moved closer to Carter, her alien features showing clear concern. "You don't understand what you're doing. The Concord maintains peace through careful regulation of military technology. The weapons you're using, they've been banned for millennia." Carter looked at her steadily. "We didn't ban them, we just went to sleep." "The Concord will respond with force," Zivarix insisted. "They cannot allow such technologies to exist." "They're welcome to try taking them from us," Carter said. He turned to Commander Finn. "Send word to all awakened ships. Defensive positions, Protocol Omega. If approached by unknown vessels, issue 1 warning. If the warning is ignored, consider it hostile intent." Finn nodded and began transmitting the orders. Dr. Susan Rivera entered the command center, still wearing her medical uniform. As Chief Medical Officer, she had been working non-stop since awakening to monitor the revival process. "Admiral, we have a problem with the civilian pods," she said. Carter frowned. "What kind of problem?" "We designed the stasis systems assuming they'd be activated within a century or 2. 5,000 years has affected the neural mapping. The civilians are waking with gaps in their memories." "How serious?" Rivera sighed. "It varies. Some have lost a few months before stasis, others years. And there's another issue. The hormone balance is wrong. They're waking up afraid, angry." Carter considered this information. "Can you correct it?" "Not quickly. Not for all of them." "Then we work with what we have," Carter decided. "Wake the military personnel first. Security teams, engineering, medical. We need to secure our position before bringing the civilians fully online." Zivarix had been listening to this exchange. "Your people are damaged, Admiral. Let me contact the Concord. We have medical technology that might help." Carter studied her. "Why would you help us?" "Because I'm afraid of what happens if I don't," the alien scientist answered honestly. "I've studied the fragments of history about your war with the Xeraxians. If humans return to the galaxy broken and afraid, history will repeat itself." Before Carter could respond, a communication officer called out, "Admiral, we're receiving a transmission. It's from the Galactic Concord." "Put it on screen," Carter ordered. The main display showed another alien, this one with gray skin and 6 eyes arranged in a circle around its head. It wore an elaborate uniform with symbolic markings. "This is High Commander Voxrel of the Galactic Concord Security Force. Unknown vessels, you have activated weapon systems that violate Concord Treaty Section 42. Power down immediately and prepare to be boarded." Carter stepped forward. "This is Admiral William Carter of the Human Fleet. We recognize no treaties we didn't sign. Any approach will be considered hostile. Any boarding attempt will be met with deadly force." The alien's eyes blinked in sequence, a sign of surprise. Humans, impossible, your species is extinct. Evidently not, Carter replied. We were sleeping, now we're awake, and we don't appreciate the welcome we've received so far. The Vren are not conquered members, Voxril said. Their actions were not sanctioned, but your response has been excessive. From our perspective, we went to sleep yesterday, Carter said. The last thing we remember is fighting for our survival. You'll forgive us if we're still in that mindset. Across the galaxy, more human ships were awakening. On each vessel, soldiers prepared for battle. Scientists assessed technologies that had been lost to the rest of the galaxy, and civilians struggled. With fractured memories and heightened emotions, humanity had returned, and the galaxy was about to remember why that was terrifying. Elaine Powell opened her eyes to a world that shouldn't exist. The stasis chamber hummed as it completed the revival process. Her memories felt jagged, like broken glass in her mind. She remembered Earth burning. She remembered boarding the ship. After that, fragments only. A medical officer stood nearby, scanning her vital signs. Ms. Powell, can you hear me? Elaine nodded. How long? The officer hesitated. 5,000 years, ma'am. 5,000 years. The number meant nothing to her. It was too large to grasp. She had gone to sleep as the head of the Civilian Conservation Corps, tasked with preserving human culture and knowledge. Now she was, what, a living fossil? Admiral Carter, request your presence on the bridge, the officer said. You're the highest-ranking civilian we've awakened so far. Elaine stood carefully, testing her balance. Her body felt wrong somehow. Too light, too tense. Why am I so angry? She asked. The officer looked uncomfortable. The stasis affected hormone levels. We're working on stabilizing everyone, but it will take time. How many others are awake? About 2,000 across all ships, mostly military personnel. Of course. Wake the soldiers first. Some things never changed, even after 5 millennia. On the bridge of the Eternal Vigil, Admiral Carter and his senior staff were deep in discussion when Elaine arrived. A large alien with blue scales stood off to the side, watching the humans, with 4 wary eyes. Ms. Powell, Carter nodded to her. Thank you for coming. Elaine studied the Admiral. They had never gotten along well. He represented military thinking. She represented civilian interests. That tension had followed them into stasis. I didn't have much choice, she said. What's our situation? Carter gestured to a display showing star maps. We've awakened 8 ships so far. 3 more are in process. We've had contact with the dominant power in this region of space, the Galactic Conquered. They're not happy about our return. Can you blame them? Elaine asked. We were at war when we went into stasis. Our technology was destroying solar systems. The blue alien stepped forward. You know of your weapons' capabilities? Elaine turned to her. I was there when we used them. Who are you? Siv Arix, xenoarchaeologist. I discovered the Eternal Vigil and awakened Admiral Carter. Carter continued. The Concord has demanded we surrender our ships and technology. They've mobilized a fleet to enforce their demands. And you've refused, Elaine guessed. Of course I've refused. They have no authority over us. Elaine felt a surge of the anger that had been simmering since she woke. And what happens to the civilians? Are we starting another war before we've even found a home? Commander Finn interrupted. Admiral, we're receiving a transmission from Lieutenant Reeves. The main screen changed to show Olivia Reeves. She looked exhausted but triumphant. Admiral, the Vren forces have retreated. We've secured the Slumber Five and begun full revival procedures. However, we've detected a larger force approaching. Conquered military vessels, according to our scans. Understood, Lieutenant, Carter said. Maintain defensive posture, help is coming. After the transmission ended, Elaine confronted Carter. Help? What are you planning? Carter turned to her, his expression hard. What I must. The Conquered has declared us a threat to galactic peace. They've ordered all civilian traffic to avoid our position. They're establishing a blockade. Then let's talk to them, Elaine insisted. Show them we're not the monsters they think we are. We tried talking, Carter said. They responded with threats. Zivarix moved closer. Both of you misunderstand. The conquered fears you because they fear change. For thousands of years, they've maintained stability by restricting technological development. Your ships represent everything they've suppressed. Is that why you woke us? Elaine asked the alien. To disrupt their control? I woke you because I was curious, Zivarix admitted. I wanted to know if the legends were true. And now you know, Carter said grimly. On the outer edge of the system, conquered ships moved into formation. 12 vessels, each twice the size of the Eternal Vigil, arranged in attack position. Their weapons charged, targeting the human ships. High. Commander Voxrel addressed his fleet from the command ship. We cannot allow human technology to spread. Their weapons defy the laws of physics as we understand them. Their AI systems show signs of true sentience. If they rejoin galactic society, the balance we've maintained will collapse. His second-in-command looked troubled. The humans have offered no actual violence against the conquered, only against the friend who attacked them first. It doesn't matter, Voxrel said. We've seen the historical records. Humans escalate. Always. We strike now, while they're still disoriented. The Concord fleet advanced, weapons ready. In the civilian section of the Eternal Vigil, more stasis pods opened. People awoke confused, frightened, and angry. Medical teams struggled to keep up, administering sedatives to the most aggressive cases. The hormone imbalance was worse than expected, pushing some toward violent outbursts. Dr. Susan Rivera approached, Elaine and Carter as they argued on the bridge. Admiral Ms. Powell, we have a crisis in civilian revival. The emotional instability is increasing. We need to halt the awakening process until we can correct the hormonal issues. We don't have time, Carter said. The conquered fleet will be in firing range in 20 minutes. If they attack and we have civilians in the middle of revival, they could die, Rivera warned. Elaine stepped forward. Then let me talk to the conquered, alien to alien. They see you as a military threat, Admiral. Maybe they'll listen to a civilian. Carter hesitated, then nodded. Make it quick. I need to use your alien, Elaine said, pointing to Zivarix, as a translator of culture, not just language. Minutes later, Elaine and Zivarix stood before the communication array. The conquered commander's face appeared on screen, his circular arrangement of eyes narrowing at the sight of them. I am Elaine, Powell, civilian leader, Elaine began. We did not choose to wake in your time. We did not choose this conflict, but we will defend ourselves if attacked. Your weapons violate conquered law, Voxrel replied. Laws we never agreed to, Elaine countered. Laws made long after we went to sleep. Would you punish us for rules we couldn't possibly know? Zivarix spoke next. Commander Voxrel, the humans' stasis technology has affected their physiology. The aggression they display is a medical condition, not their true nature. Voxrel's eyes shifted. This changes nothing. The technology must be contained. Then help us contain it, Elaine offered. Work with us, not against us. Humanity survived one extinction. We won't accept another. The communication ended abruptly. On the bridge, Carter looked at the tactical display showing the approaching conquered fleet. They're still coming, he said. All ships battle positions, weapons hot. Across the human fleet, ancient systems activated, weapons that bent space and time, shields that existed partially in other dimensions, engines that defied conventional physics. Technology born of desperation, refined through centuries of conflict, then hidden away for 5 millennia. As the Concord fleet came into range, they fired their first volley. Energy weapons lanced across space toward the human ships, and then the impossible happened. The energy beams stopped in mid-space, frozen in time, caught in the web of human defensive systems. Carter's voice transmitted to all human ships. Let them see what they're facing, then let them choose again. The frozen energy weapons suddenly reversed direction, heading back toward the conquered fleet at reduced power. Not enough to destroy, but enough to damage shields. A warning. Silence fell across all communication channels. Then, slowly, the conquered fleet pulled back. Humanity had announced its return. The beast was awake, and the galaxy held its breath. 3 days after the standoff with the Concord fleet, more human ships had awakened. 15 vessels now formed a defensive cluster, their systems fully online, their crews alert and ready. The Concord maintained their distance, watching but not approaching. On the bridge of the Eternal Vigil, Dr. Susan Rivera delivered her report to Admiral Carter and Elaine Powell. We've stabilized the hormone levels in 60% of awakened civilians. The rest are improving, but slowly. And the memory issues? Elaine asked. Rivera sighed. More difficult. The neural pathways were partially degraded during the long stasis. Some memories are simply gone. Carter nodded. Focus on the essential personnel first. We need engineers and scientists at full capacity. And the children? Elaine pressed. There are over 1,000 minors in stasis across the fleet. We haven't begun reviving children yet, Rivera said. Their developing brains are more vulnerable to the stasis effects. We're being cautious. The door to the bridge slid open, and Lieutenant Reeves entered. She had transferred from the Slumber 5 the previous day, bringing valuable intelligence about the Vren and their technology. Admiral, she saluted. We've decoded more of the Concord communications. They're still debating what to do about us. Their leadership is divided. Good, Carter said. Division means delay. We need time. Time for what? Elaine asked sharply. To prepare for war, we should be focusing on finding a home, not fighting battles. Before Carter could respond, Commander Finn interrupted. Admiral, we're receiving a transmission, multiple signals actually, from all over the galaxy. Put them on screen, Carter ordered. The main display showed a series of images from different ships and stations, aliens of various species, all broadcasting on frequencies that matched ancient human communication protocols. An alien with green, leaf-like appendages spoke first. People of Earth, this is Elder Kral of the Phytorian Enclave. We have heard of your return. The stories of human ingenuity have been passed down for generations among our people. Another alien, this one with metallic skin, appeared. Humans, I am Director Shin of the Silicon Collective. We were once your allies 5,000 years ago. Few remember, but our archives preserve the truth. More messages followed. Species that claimed ancient ties to humanity, some as allies, some as former enemies seeking reconciliation. The common thread was clear. Not everyone in the galaxy feared humanity's return. Carter looked stunned. I don't recognize any of these species. Zivarix, who had remained aboard as an advisor, stepped forward. Some are relatively new to space travel. Others have evolved significantly over 5 millennia. But they all know of humans, at least in legend. Why are they contacting us now? Elaine asked. Word spreads quickly, Zivarix explained. The Concord tried to contain news of your awakening but failed. These species see you as potential allies against conquered control. Carter's expression darkened. They want to use us as weapons. Perhaps, Zivarix conceded, but they also offer what you need most. Places to settle. The messages continued, many including offers of sanctuary, resources, or alliance. The galaxy was more complex than the Concord had suggested. Many resented the tight control the 17-species coalition maintained over technology and expansion. Elaine turned to Carter. This changes everything. We're not alone against the galaxy. We have potential friends. Or potential manipulators, Carter countered. Dr. Rivera, who had been studying data on her tablet, looked up with concern. Admiral Ms. Powell, we have another problem. The Slumber 12 is experiencing system failures. Their stasis pods are shutting down without proper revival sequences. How many people? Carter demanded. 3,000 civilians, including 800 children, Elaine paled. We need to help them immediately. The Slumber 12 is on the far side of Concord space, Finn pointed out. We'd have to break through their blockade to reach it. Carter was silent for a moment, weighing options. Then he turned to Zivarix. Could the Conquered help them? Do they have medical technology that could save my people? The alien scientist nodded slowly. Yes, Their medical technology is highly advanced, different from yours, but effective. Then we need their help, Elaine said. We need to negotiate. Carter's jaw tightened. The same people who were ready to destroy us 3 days ago? We don't have a choice, Elaine insisted. Those are our people, our children. After a tense silence, Carter nodded to Finn. Open a channel to the Concord command ship. High Commander Voxrel appeared on screen, his 6 eyes blinking in sequence. Admiral Carter, have you reconsidered our terms? We have a medical emergency, Carter said bluntly. One of our ships is failing. 3,000 lives are at risk. We need your help. Voxrel was silent for a moment. And in exchange? We'll discuss technology sharing. Limited access to our defensive systems. Nothing that could be weaponized. The Concord commander's eyes narrowed. Why should I believe you? Elaine stepped forward. Because we're offering to send our children to you first. Would we risk them if we didn't trust you? This seemed to strike a chord with Voxrel. Among the Concord species, children were sacred, their protection a universal value that transcended political differences. Send coordinates, Voxrel finally said. We will dispatch medical ships immediately. After the transmission ended, Carter looked at Elaine. You realize what you've done? Once they see our technology up close, they'll want more. And we'll negotiate, Elaine said firmly. That's how civilizations coexist, not through threats and standoffs. 20 hours later, Concord medical vessels surrounded the failing Slumber 12. Teams of alien doctors worked alongside human medical staff to stabilize the awakening civilians. Children were transferred to specialized facilities on Concord hospital ships, their fragile minds carefully monitored during the revival process. On the eternal vigil, Carter watched the operation via secure feed. They're keeping their word, he admitted reluctantly. Elaine nodded. Because we gave them reason to. Trust has to start somewhere. Zivarik, standing nearby, added her perspective. The Concord fears change, but it values life. You've found common ground. As they spoke, Dr. Rivera rushed onto the bridge, her expression excited. Admiral Ms. Powell, the Concord doctors made a breakthrough. They've identified the cause of the memory degradation and developed a treatment. It's working. For the first time since awakening, Carter allowed himself a small smile. Well done, Doctor. And thank you for pushing for cooperation, Ms. Powell. Elaine nodded, accepting the rare acknowledgement from the military leader. Outside, in the vastness of space, human and Concord ships worked side by side. The ancient beast that had awoken was showing that it could be more than a weapon. It could adapt, cooperate, build bridges across 5,000 years of history. But the beast had not forgotten how to fight, and the galaxy was about to learn that humanity's greatest strength was not its weapons, but its ability to turn enemies into allies and strangers into friends. 1 month after the rescue operation, a new balance had begun to form. 23 human ships now floated in formation around a small, unclaimed planet at the edge of Concord space. The world below was harsh but habitable, with thick forests, covering most of its surface and deep oceans teeming with life. On the surface, the first human settlement was taking shape. Prefabricated structures rose among the trees, designed to have minimal impact on the local ecosystem. Children played in cleared areas, their laughter a sound not heard in the galaxy for 5,000 years. Admiral Carter stood with Elaine Powell on a ridge overlooking the settlement. Despite their differences, they had found a way to work together in the weeks since the crisis. It's not Earth, Elaine said, watching the sunset paint the alien sky in shades of purple and green. No, Carter agreed, but it will do for now. The Concord had designated the planet as a human reservation, a compromise that had satisfied neither side completely, but had prevented further conflict. Humans could settle here under their own governance, while adhering to basic Concord regulations about expansion and technology use. Zivarix approached, now serving as the official Concord representative to the human settlement. The Council has approved your request for additional medical supplies, she told them. They will arrive tomorrow. And the technology restrictions? Carter asked. Still under debate, Zivarix admitted. Many are concerned about your AI systems. In particular, the concept of truly sentient artificial intelligence is disturbing to most conquered species. Carter frowned. Our ship systems have been sentient for centuries. They're part of us now. Which is why the debate continues, Zivarix said diplomatically. Below them, Dr. Rivera supervised a group of engineers as they installed water purification systems. The conquered medical techniques had worked wonders on the awakened humans, restoring much of their lost memory and stabilizing their hormones, but the psychological adjustment remained difficult. These people had lost their world, then slept through 5 millennia, only to wake in a galaxy that viewed them with suspicion and fear. Lieutenant Reeves joined Carter and the others on the ridge, her uniform now modified with symbols of her new role as head of settlement security. The perimeter sensors are online, she reported. No unauthorized ships can approach without our knowledge. Any sign of the Vren? Carter asked. Nothing since the initial conflict, Reeves said. They've been quiet, too quiet, in Carter's assessment. The Vren had suffered a humiliating defeat at human hands. Such things bred resentment. But that was a problem for another day. A small ship descended through the atmosphere, bearing the markings of the Futorian Enclave, one of the species that had reached out to humans after their awakening. It landed in the designated diplomatic area near the settlement center. Our first official visitors, Elaine noted. Shall we greet them together, Admiral? Carter nodded, and they made their way down to the landing pad. The Phytorians were plant-based life forms, their bodies a complex arrangement of living wood and leaf-like structures. They moved with surprising grace despite their seemingly rigid forms. Elder Kral emerged from the ship, accompanied by 2 younger Phytorians. Humans. Kral's voice rustled like wind through leaves. We are honored to walk on the same soil as the legendary world shapers. Elaine stepped forward. We welcome you to New Haven, Elder Kral, though I must say we don't quite see ourselves as legendary. Yet you are, Kral insisted. For 5,000 years, stories of human achievements have inspired many species. The bridges of Europa, the Mars transformation, the Einstein-Rosen stabilization, all human creations that changed how we understand the universe. Carter listened with mixed emotions. The accomplishments Kral mentioned were among humanity's proudest achievements, and their most destructive. The same technology that built the bridges of Europa had been weaponized in the final days of the Xeraxian War. We've brought gifts, Kral continued, gesturing to containers being unloaded from the ship. Seeds from our homeworld, compatible with this planet's ecosystem. They will grow into structures suitable for human habitation. Living buildings? Elaine asked, intrigued. A Futorian specialty, Kral confirmed. And we offer trade. Your knowledge of quantum engineering for our bioforming techniques. Before Carter could respond, alarms blared across the settlement. Commander Finn's voice came through on his communicator. Admiral, multiple ships have just dropped out of faster-than-light travel on the far side of the planet. Vren signatures. How many? Carter demanded. 35 vessels, much larger than the mining ships we encountered before. Carter turned to Zivarix. Is the Concord aware of this? The alien's 4 eyes blinked rapidly in distress. This is not authorized by the Concord. The Vren are acting independently. Or they're testing our defenses while giving the Concord deniability, Carter suggested darkly. The sky above them darkened as Vren ships moved into low orbit. A communication signal broadcast across all frequencies. Humans. This is High Extractor. Morthkal of the Vren Imperium. You have demonstrated hostile intent against our mining operations. You will surrender your weapons technology, or we will level your settlement. Elder Kral stepped forward. If the Vren attack, the Phytorian Enclave stands with humanity. Other communication channels activated as ships from multiple species appeared at the edge of the system. The Silicon Collective, the Dorsian Pact, the Aquatic Consortium, all declaring support for the human settlement. It seems we have more friends than we realized, Elaine said. Carter nodded, then opened a channel to the human fleet in orbit. All ships, defensive positions. No first strikes, but be prepared to protect our people. To the Vren, he transmitted, High Extractor, we have no quarrel with the Vren people, but we will defend ourselves if attacked. Be warned. What you saw before was a fraction of our capability. In orbit, human vessels moved with precision, their ancient weapon systems coming online. The technology that had nearly broken the galaxy 5,000 years ago was ready once more. The Vren ships held position, perhaps reconsidering the wisdom of their threat now that they faced not only humans, but a coalition of other species. Zivarix watched the situation unfold with growing understanding. Now I see, she said quietly. This is why the Conquered fears you. Because of our weapons? Carter asked. No, the alien scientist replied. Because you build connections so quickly. In 1 month you formed alliances that would take other species decades to establish. You adapt, integrate, inspire loyalty. That is a power more dangerous than any weapon. Below them, the settlement continued its work, unaware of the confrontation. Above, children played, engineers built, doctors healed. The beast that had awakened was showing all facets of its nature, not just its claws and teeth, but its heart and mind as well. We didn't ask to sleep for 5,000 years, Elaine said. We didn't ask to wake in a galaxy that fears us, but we're here now, and we will survive as humanity always has. In space, the Vren fleet slowly withdrew, unwilling to face the combined might of humans and their new allies. For now, at least, peace would hold. The beast was awake, and the galaxy was learning that it was not just a creature of war, but of creation as well. Humanity had returned, bringing with it all the brilliance and danger that had made it legendary, and the universe would never be the same again.